A little bit shorter strings here. Okay, there we go. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Haribo. Okay. Jai. Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Jamuna Jivana Dasa, and thank you for allowing me to speak on the Bhagavad Gita tonight. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from the Bhagavad Gita, this is chapter 13, verse 16. The verse is, Bahir antascha bhutanam acharmam charam evacha suksma vatad avignyanyam duryastam chanike chatat. Translation. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. I'll repeat it again. Translation. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. The purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Srila Prabhupada. In the Vedic literature, we understand that Narayana, the Supreme Person, is residing both outside and inside of the living entity. He is present in both the spiritual and material worlds. Although he is far, far away, still, he is near to us. These are the statements of the Vedic literature. Asino Dharam Vrajyati Sharano Yati Sarvataha, from the Katha Upanishad 1-21. And because he is also engaged in transcendental bliss, we cannot understand how he is enjoying his full opulence. We cannot see or understand with these material senses. Therefore, in the Vedic language, it is said that to understand him, our material mind and senses cannot act. But one who has purified his mind and senses by practicing Krishna consciousness in devotional service can see him constantly. It is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita that the devotee who has developed love for the Supreme God can see him always without cessation. And it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11, verse 54, that he can be seen and understood only by devotional service. Bhakya tiv anayaya shakaya. Omegan tamarandasya jana jana shalakaya chakshor militem yena tasmai shri guruve namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, Vajranarayan Swami, who has opened my eyes, blinded by the darkness of ignorance, with the torchlight of knowledge. So this verse is actually very amazing. They're all amazing. But this verse, just a couple of sentences, has so much juice, has so much nectar there. So it's stated, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or know. So it's very interesting. In the material sense, we see very little and we know very little. Like right now, we don't know what's going on behind the wall. We have no idea. We don't know if who will walk down the stairs. We just don't know. We don't see if there's a bird sitting out front of the temple now. What bird is it? So all we see is what's happening right inside the room now. It's real limited. So our material senses are pretty limited, obviously. And also we cannot see or understand with these material senses is also in the translation. So we think that we're so powerful, we're so knowledgeable, we're so strong, we know so many things. You know, we have all of our degrees and all of our material accumulation, we have our fancy car, we have all of these things, but actually that's the conditioning. We think we're so powerful. And so in the material sense, we're really quite limited. We don't even know if there will be an earthquake in 5 minutes. We don't know. We're just here in this moment. So to be dependent on the material senses is really limits us to really having a full understanding or knowledge of what's happening. So our ego has us conditioned to think these things. Sort of like a deck of cards. Now, of course, we don't gamble, so no one has a deck of cards, but the idea of you could build a house of cards and quickly the whole thing is blown over. It's gone. And my Guru Maharaj, Bhajranarayan Swami, he gives this example. If you go to the beach, you see people making sandcastles, and you see, all of this effort to make a sandcastle. And over here, there's a school, and they build up some sand, and they build a moat around the house to protect, defend the house. And all of this, effort to build on the sand. But what they don't realize behind them is this ocean is coming. The tide is on its way. And so, just like that, we're focused on the material accumulation and material prestige, but here comes samsara. Here comes, death is on the way, the death of the body. So Krishna says in this verse, in the translation, that he can only be understood by devotional service. So we really have to use this time in this life to cultivate our Krishna consciousness. And halfway through the verse, the translation says, and because he is always engaged in transcendental bliss, we cannot understand how he is enjoying his full opulence. So there's so much about Krishna we don't understand, we don't know. In the material sense. So it's our responsibility to really begin to take to Krishna consciousness and to practice something. So we know that we follow the 4 regulative principles and we take a vow to chant minimum 16 rounds a day. And so that's the platform by which we can understand who is Krishna and how is Krishna, who's so far away, also in our hearts and in everyone's hearts, all of the living entities. So how can we understand that with these limited material senses? So Bhagavad Gita is so amazing because it actually explains how we can do it. So with the 4 regulative principles, no meat eating, it cleans the body, it purifies the body. No intoxication, purifies the mind. So the mind and the body are very quickly purified and clean because of no meat eating and no intoxication. The meat eating, we do not get negative karmic reaction from the violence of killing the animals. Intoxication, even caffeine, we're not triggering the nervous system and agitated from intoxication or caffeine. So we don't do those things. Hare Krishna. No gambling. That cultivates a sense of honesty. We form a quality that we're not looking to take from others or trying to, lie or cheat or steal. So by not gambling, we cultivate this quality of truthfulness. And no illicit sex. We cultivate an ability to have self-discipline. Sex for recreation is not acceptable for maintaining a clear consciousness. So, of course, as Vaishnavas, we have sex life for propagation of Krishna conscious children because we need the next generation of Krishna conscious devotees. Otherwise, this is it. This is all we would have. So we do need folks to grow Krishna conscious children. So no sex life creates a astaya. It's self-discipline. So a lot of times people say, oh, you don't do all these things. They hear no, 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 no. No this, no that. But actually we're cultivating yes, 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 yes. Yes, truthfulness. Yes, clarity of mind. Yes, clean body. Yes, self-discipline. And yes, truthfulness. And from that platform of clarity and cleanliness and self-discipline, then we can receive the subtle energy of Krishna. The supreme truth exists outside and inside all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses. So the Krishna consciousness is very subtle. Actually, when you walk in the temple room, you kind of feel a very sense of lightness and a sense of consciousness. You can sense the Krishna consciousness. So as Vaishnavas and as yogis, we practice these 4 regular principles. We chant minimum 16 rounds a day so that we can tune in to Krishna. My Guru Maharaj also gives the example of a radio. I think we're all probably old enough to remember the old school radios, or in the car, you have the FM radio, and you have the dial, and you kind of, you go left and right, you try to tune in to the signal, you could hear the sound. And so the 4 regular principles and the chanting of the Maha Mantra is how we can tune in to Krishna, which in this verse is explaining Krishna is very subtle. So even though the signal may be far away, it's actually Krishna is in our heart as the Atma, as the Jiva. So by tuning in, we connect the Jiva to the Supreme, like that. Also, the subtle energy is very self-evident. When we engage in Krishna consciousness, when we do Sankirtan, we see a sense of peacefulness is cultivated. When we wash pots or do Mangalarti or any engagement in Krishna consciousness, we can sense a feeling of contentment and happiness that comes from the inside. And so it's not a material thing. It does require following the 4 regular principles and chanting Hare Krishna all of the time. So we always say minimum 16 rounds, because just because you're done with 16 rounds, you don't put your japa bag down. You keep chanting, because danger at every step. Also, my guru will say, danger at every step. You never know. So we're chanting all the time. One, also at the end of this verse, is the last sentence. He can be understood. He can be seen and understood only by devotional service. Bhaktya tva anayaya shakya. So now, this is coming from chapter 11, verse 53. And the translation of anayaya, the translation in Sanskrit is, without being mixed with fruitive activities or speculative knowledge. So even in this verse, it refers back to a former chapter where is putting emphasis on anayaya, without being mixed with fruitive activities or speculative knowledge. And I think that's a really interesting point. We can't really concoct or change the knowledge coming down from Krishna all the way down, time immemorial, through the Sampradaya, from Prabhupada to us. So I thought of this example, Balaram Prabhu not long ago gave a class, and he was explaining how there's a local group of Buddhists in PB somewhere, and one woman came to the class, to I think Bhagavatam class, and afterwards Balaram said, "Oh, where are you from? What do you do? What do you practice?" She said, "Oh, I practice Buddhism, but I'm not really happy with it because this group, they decided that it's more convenient to just eat meat during the Buddhist class during their sessions." And she didn't sit right with her, because she thought, well, Buddhism is founded on nonviolence, and the Buddha incarnated to teach nonviolence and not eat meat. Buddha didn't say believe in God. He just said, don't eat meat, because cleaning the body and not eating meat and not accruing negative karmic reaction sets a person into a stage where they can then eventually, receive the signal or become inclined to spiritual knowledge. So that was the idea. That is why Buddha came, which is revealed in our scriptures. So this woman, she said, I'm going to a Buddhist group, they're eating hamburgers, and it doesn't make sense to me. So it's one example where a lot of philosophies, people change it to serve their interest, and they deviate from the pure teaching. So Krishna is explaining that in the very last sentence of this verse, Bhaktyata anayaya sakha. So nothing has changed. So it's very nice. Good point there. And then the other first part of that is to not involve any fruitive activities as well. So devotional service is really simple. We just follow the regular principles, chant Hare Krishna, and actually everything is provided. Like when you water a tree, you water the roots, then everything actually grows just fine. So in the material world, we sort of think, well, I'll just water this branch and I'll be fine. Or if I do this, if I concoct and change the philosophy, I do something else, then everything will be okay. But over time, eventually the plant just dries up. There's nothing left. So we may be able to placate some, idea or some process, but ultimately we are not watering the roots of the tree, everything will just dry up. So this chanting of Hare Krishna is how we water the tree, keep the Atma, fired up and keep us tuned in. And also, my preparing for the class, I also wanted to mention from the Perfection of Yoga, which is a really handy book, fits right in the back pocket. It's really nice to have. We have them in the front in the lobby here. A lot of other really great, simple little books that you can, Prabhupada's books that are easy to keep with you. Short book, really powerful, powerful messages and verses here. And so just wanted to end with the Lord Chaitanya in the mood of the very simple philosophy and simple practice in the third chapter of the Perfection of Yoga, third chapter, Yoga as Meditation on Krishna. So connecting this all together. Of course, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has declared, Haranama, Haranama, Haranama Iva Kevalam, Valyao Naste Eva, Naste Eva, Naste Eva Gatir Anyata. He says, the translation, in this age of quarrel and disagreement, Kali Yuga, the only way of spiritual realization is the chanting of the names of Krishna. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So let's chant Hare Krishna 3 times together, as loud as you can. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Is there any questions or reflections, comments on anything?
We will have time, so we'll do one round of chanting now.
Okay.
Do you want to lead or what?
Sure. Yeah, together we can do it. One round. Good idea. Everyone has beads. Does anyone need japa beads?
No, I don't know. There used to be japa beads in the room, but now there are none. So we'll just do by.
Okay.
I will use, or you can do it, or I can do it.
Sure. We can both. Yeah, you could start. I'll get my beads over here.
Yeah.
I have beads.
Oh, you have? Yeah, maybe anyone who needs beads.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. Yeah, it's good to leave with beads if you don't have them.
Yeah.
It's how we tune in. So really, you need beads. That's a good idea.
You want to start it? Sure, start. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Thank you very much for joining Saturday Satsang. We always start at 6:30. The bhajans from 6:30 to 7:10. Then 7:10 to 7:40 for half an hour we have class on Gita. Then followed by the one round of chanting. This is what we do every Saturday. And now we will serve prasadam outside at 8 o'clock, and the last darshan will be at 8:15, and we will have darshan for 15 minutes from 8:15 to 8:30. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.